Theorizing that one could travel within his own lifetime, Dr. Sam Becket stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished. He woke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own, driven by an unknown force to change history for the better. His only guide on this journey is Al, an observer from his own time, who appears in the form of a hologram that only Sam can see and hear. And so Dr. Becket finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home.
I am Scotty R37, Antiderivative Jill is here, and Steve will be calculating the odds on how Ziggy gets us out of here. The Fantasmagorium show proudly presents In the Loop, a quantum leap celebration. This week, we wrap up season 2 with Sam being leapt into a boat with General Martok. He's there to make sure his widowed wife doesn't marry a mobster, and then he leaps into an undercover cop who is certainly there to ensure a woman is corrected from thinking that she is a widow. At least that is what Al tells Sam. Hey, Jill, what's going on?
Oh my god, it was General Bartok. I actually had a photo op with him, but I couldn't tell his human form because he was dressed as a Klingon in the photo op.
Harvard 1919. Yes, General Martok does have skills. He's got the boxing skills. You didn't recognize the voice?
I don't understand why I didn't. Now I'm mad at myself.
And
but
see,
that's great.
We will get there, but there is a part where Sam, as I forget the character's name, but he does say, "I swear on my life and my honor." And J.G. Hertzler's character says, "You have no honor." And I was like, yeah, we got Archer and Martok tells Archer he has no honor. This is awesome. That was wicked cool. So I was tickled pink in Seabride. And then we get to MIA, which is an absolute heartbreaker, and sows seeds for the series finale.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. And these aren't necessarily two-parters, but they tie in together really well, where one's a lot more lighthearted and one is more of a serious character study.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And they are about true love, essentially.
And hello to Simone.
Hey, Simone.
Right before her bedtime. Wow.
Fantasmagorium superstar.
Yes.
Thanks for being here, Simone. But before we get into the episodes proper, you got new toys for
I did.
In the Loop.
I was tired of getting angry every single time I watched Quantum Leap, because Quantum Leap's supposed to make you happy, right? Yeah. But I was getting angry every single time because I would look at the internet and find out all of the songs that are supposed to be in the episode that I did not hear. And these songs are placed in the episode for a reason. This is a sci-fi show, but it's mostly a soap opera. So these songs actually play into the emotional effect of everything happening in the story. So I was so upset about it that I bought the Blu-rays. By Mill Creek. And they have the correct songs. I went to the Good Morning Peoria episode to make sure of it.
Which is obviously the DJ episode, so it's chock-a-block full of the popular licensed music that would have been sort of license-free elevator music. You called it
right. They did insert a lot of elevator music, and the season finale MIA would have been a good one to check too, because there's a bunch of songs in there too that get switched out.
Well,
But
we
the
do.
but the funny thing is that the
Yes.
Blu-ray doesn't have captions, so I still watch I still watch the ones with the wrong music to get the slides.
Oh no. Well,
So,
so was it a? Did you watch it twice?
um, well, I watch the parts with the music, but what I'm gonna do is I'll get these. I'll rip I'll rip the Blu-rays and then put the captions on later. And once it's on my server, so
And
everything will be good soon.
fantastic. Well, I'm just glad. I'm glad that you got the Blu-rays. How's the packaging on it?
It's pretty good. I was wondering why there was only one disc for each season. How did they do that? Well, they stack the DVDs.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. That's the only thing I find with the Mill Creek packaging is that it's a little substandard, but for that to get the actual licensed music is fantastic. The DVDs are just cardboard sleeves; they're not even the clamshell packaging, so that's unfortunate.
Wow, that is somebody at Universal is just not happy with Quantum Leap or something.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what the sales numbers are for the television show from oh my stars, 30 years ago, 33 years ago.
Well, yes, I guess maybe they don't see the value in the nostalgia, or they don't get enough sales numbers, or something.
But it still wouldn't put me off getting the any Mill Creek. We're not sponsored by Mill Creek at all, but
No.
I would still get the Mill Creek ones just because I'm satisfied with knowing that the licensed music is in there and it provides the complete story of what was intended to be broadcast back when it originally aired.
Exactly. They don't put music by whoever does the music, Mike Post in the early season, just for fun. The music is a huge part of this episode, and I'm so happy to have it now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Um, and so we are with these last two episodes of season 2. We are plowing through. I'm super jazzed. It's funny because we were doing Picard season 3, and we never reviewed the last 2 episodes. And I know that you, Jill, had said, "But come on, you'll review something like a full season of something, and you'll finally do it." And it just occurred to me when I was watching today that it's like, hey, we'll always have Quantum Leap. It makes me so much happier. I've been in a relatively sour mood today, and I woke up and I popped in and my disc of Sam and Al, and something about the intro and the music and everything, just the nice nature of Quantum Leap just cheers me up, makes me chipper, makes me feel like my heart is full, even after just a couple of minutes.
Well, yes, even with the heavier episode, there's still some hope in there.
Yes. Well, yes. It's well, and we'll get to MIA when we get to MIA because I do have another Star Trek connection when we get there. But I really enjoyed Sea Bride. It was another one of those. It's 1954.
What was this a romantic comedy episode? Because
I
I really wasn't laughing, but I feel like it wanted to be funny.
I was kind of thinking that it was sort of like a farce. Like maybe not a laugh out loud, but it was definitely characters in a confined place with absurd
Mhm.
circumstances that had to be navigated by the main
Well,
characters. And
what better way to get a lady to get married who doesn't want to get married to this person than to get her stuck on a boat? What the-
oh,
what's
absolutely,
that?
yeah. Absolutely. Although it does get a little heavy near the end when Vinny the snake, is that his name?
Vinny the snake, because he looks like a snake, doesn't he?
Well, that's what Jenny says.
That's what
Yes.
Jenny says. I don't agree, but I guess he acts like one.
Well, he's a convicted
Yes.
felon 2 times over.
And yeah, and very obviously part of a crime family.
Mm-hmm. Threatening to kill people in the middle of a dance floor.
Yeah, and yeah, even his cohort has to say, "Not here. Let's at least go out, go out on the side of the ship."
Yeah, let's make hang on a second. I can't hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound
Okay,
fine.
perfect. Then we'll just continue and I'll accept whatever happens.
I'll
but
tell
yeah,
you if I can't hear you.
thank you so much. Shall we get into Seabride?
Sure. I have the slides ready to go.
Perfect. Oh, and I just have to press the button.
Oh, I could have pressed that button too.
I've got it. Do you want me to drop the banner at the bottom so we can see the captions, or is it necessary?
Yes. No, the banner was there for the beginning. I think we're good. I think people know that this show is called In the Loop.
Simone knows where she is. So perfect. See, and this is funny. When Sam initially leaps in, he's a little woozy. I thought that he was leaping into somebody who was drunk.
You know, that's a great comparison. Yeah, he doesn't know he's on a boat, so right. Feeling unsteady. That makes sense.
And we get to see that Sam is pulling away from New York City, right. Or Gotham from Batman Forever.
Wait a minute.
Hang on a minute. Or Metropolis from the first Superman movie. But no, this is New York City, and they are sailing to be married.
Well, that's where they start. They start in New York, but we don't know where they're headed, do we?
They must be. Isn't it the Queen Mary? I think that goes to that heads to England. And there is.
Oh, you're right, to England. That's right, because they mentioned Margaret Thatcher.
Right.
They reference her.
I think that's the only part of the episode that is in any way sort of time travel. This could have happened at any time, I suppose.
Sure, but within Sam's lifetime.
Within
Sam's only stipulation.
Yes, but this one takes place on June 3rd, 1954. And when Sam is left into his stateroom cabin, and there is, "You have not yet begun to fight," from Jay.
And Jay, of course, turns out to be the sister of the bride, the little sister. And so people just send flowers to each other.
It seems, yes. I don't remember the last time I sent or received flowers.
Me neither, actually.
Huh.
Actually, I did it just this last Tuesday to my kid's teacher. So it was Teacher Appreciation Week.
So it's not just a clever name. You appreciated the teacher.
I did.
Excellent. And so with that minor clue, although he does say, when Sam looks at it and he's like, "Jay, from Jay, John Paul Jones?" No. And so there's a knock at the door, and Catherine Farrington enters, gives Sam a kiss, and then a smack across the face, and we get the titular, or the typical, "Oh boy."
Right. This is part of what made me think that they wanted this to be funny, because there was a series of physical comedy going on in this entire scene. There's a slap, and the classic, "I'm gonna bust down this door," and then they just run through the door.
But we do have the stock footage of the Queen Mary heading across the pond, and it is revealed that
Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, that's where the ship was made. Yeah.
Also, yes, this episode was written by Deborah Pratt and directed by Joe Napolitano.
Yes.
And so the basic story is that 3 years have passed since Philip was lost. He's returned, but his wife, Catherine, the heiress to a shipping company, is getting remarried on this ship tomorrow. So I guess the dad owns this whole ship and everything, and that's why they're getting married on here, because he's losing his business. He's failed, so this is the only place they can afford to get married. We're left to figure out whether or not Sam's there to put Philip and Catherine back together, or make sure she marries her new fiance. Yeah. So.
But we also learned that Catherine was estranged, or not estranged. She thought what's Sam's? It doesn't matter. Sam thought that Sam had died in Bora Bora earlier.
Right, he's a
3
sailor.
years ago. Yes, he is a sailor. And so that is why she has moved on. And apparently there have been 3 years of therapy and grieving and the loss of her husband. And now Sam has returned to reconnect. See, John Hertzler.
Yeah, they don't really say exactly how an ex-husband ends up on the wedding cruise of his ex-wife.
I think Jenny had something to do with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She seems very much into, as we'll see a sidekick, an adorable Oompa Loompa come in with undercover disguise.
Yeah, she's a regular spy, for sure.
Yes, she is surreptitious. And so, yeah, it is explained in almost too convenient a fashion. It's like, what? And 3 years later, I get a letter from Bora Bora? Everything is laid out for Sam and what he needs to know in terms of where Philip has been. But as there is another knock at the door, and so Catherine hides in the closet, and we get the threat of breaking down the door, and here we have General Martok himself.
From Harvard.
From Harvard, yes. He was in the boxing
He's
team.
very proud of himself and thinks he's better than everyone because he went to Harvard.
Well, he is trying to maintain a shipping business. This is a high society old man that even Vinny the Snake makes fun of when he's talking later, and he's like, ta-ta. But he's also taken insult and umbrage with the fact that Philip would not work for Farrington Nautical.
Yeah, right. And even the daughter, even Catherine doesn't understand that either. Why didn't she just work for him?
And it's never really explained.
What's not explained exactly?
Well, why he never wanted. It's just assumed or surmised that it was Philip's pride that didn't want to. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, and
or he just doesn't like the business and didn't want to work there, which is good enough a reason for me, if that was the reason.
Well, I guess, yeah. All that matters is that he's back now and he wants to reconnect. And so Simone in the chat says, Sam looks good in a turtleneck. Yes. Yes, he does. I just sort of noticed that, and I remember wearing one of those to a graduation, like the turtleneck and the double-breasted suit jacket. There was a time that was considered fashionable.
Actually, I think I've seen you in turtleneck recently.
I do have.
You have them.
Yes, not a white one and not a double blazer. I haven't been at sea in a while. But yes, and then through the door, and this is why I sort of thought it was a farce, is because every time that there is something going on, something else is piled onto it in a lighthearted way. Maybe not laugh out loud, haha, comedic, but certainly
these flowers are heavy.
Apparently, yes. Or the porters are weak. But it is inappropriate for a married woman or an engaged woman to be receiving flowers on the eve of her wedding. But Al shows up and explains that there's the 88.3% probability that Sam is to stop Catherine from marrying Vinny the Snake, because he is he's a gangster. He's a criminal.
He's dangerous.
He is dangerous, yes.
Philip was marooned at sea, and Weathers Farlington IV, Martok, convinced Catherine that he was dead.
Well, and apparently,
I guess that can just happen.
Catherine was in an episode of Voyager as well, although I didn't recognize it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's also
You're on
the
top
weird.
of your Star Trek game today. Impressed.
Well, it's the fun. It's part of the fun of connecting the dots of what's going on in Quantum Leap is being like that person's on Star Trek, and so was Scott Bakula. It's all a holodeck program. But Catherine says that she heard Sam talking to someone, and he said that it's a bad habit. He's just talking to himself, and so once again, we get the prolonged conversation between Sam and Al. Not prolonged, the exact length of conversation between Sam and Al. That is
yes, and I
overheard.
think that's on the bingo card that Simone gave us
It is true.
about Sam talking to Al with people present.
Yes. But this is, Catherine has said, if there's any love in your heart for me, then you will leave me.
Jump off the ship.
Yes. Well, and because Philip is apparently going to be a victim of taking himself out, an unceremonious walk the plank. He does commit suicide in the unaltered.
I have to be right back.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, well there's a twist to that. But yeah.
There is. Oh yeah, they get to that, but and then if Philip, Sam's leapee, does end up dying, then Catherine will go through yet another bout of grief that will leave her in the next 2 years dying of a broken heart. So there are many people's lives who are going to be affected by this. And so that is what Sam is to be putting right. I do want to see where Beverly Leach, who plays Catherine Farrington, I do know that she was in an episode of Voyager. I think it was a 7th season episode, and I'm not there yet on my rewatch, unfortunately. Oh, heck, look at that. She was on an episode of Mad Men, which is also another show, but that would take far too long to...
What would take too long?
Doing a rewatch of Mad Men. I do love that show, but it is a situation where you're waiting from week to week for something to happen.
Oh, that sounds like it would be better for an entire season to be an episode to be a review. Like, let's review the entire season of this thing.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, she plays Dayla in an episode of Voyager. Anyway.
Dayla. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's surmised that maybe that's exactly what Philip did, is that he jumped off the boat. And Sam says, no one jumps off of the boat because of unrequited love.
And this is good because it does come back. You understand why that is a supposition.
Yes. But this is when we get our sidekick, our Al's helper, but not really. Just sort of the team, the Scooby Gang, to try and make sure everything happens. Oh, and then there is somewhat foreshadowing for the next episode as well. If you go back, because we're going through all of the wives that Al has had, and Sam says, well, with all of your failed relationships, and then he catches himself and he's like, that's not fair. That's not fair. Al says, well, I did fall in love once. I did actually have that one true love. And then Sam says, well, how did you deal with that? Did you mess it up? And he's like, no, I got married. And then Sam says, well, if she was so perfect, why aren't you still married to her? And the conversation sort of peters out, as we will find in MIA. And it's quite a tragic backstory, but it isn't really touched on in this one. Just more of a setup for what's coming the following leap, if you will. And I would recommend get yourself ready for a little emotional waterworks in MIA. But we still get the backstory of Al Calavicci and his parade of wives. But there was one true love, and Al is quite the romantic in that regard and says, no, you should make sure that these two are together, even if it is something that could go awry. it is important to make sure that these two lovebirds do connect, because it is important for the true love to conquer all, if you will. Al Calavicci, obviously. And you know what? I realized that I've been telling people that Admiral Al Calavicci, I think this, we don't get. Oh, no, we got Admiral Calavicci's last name in the season premiere of season 2. I don't know why. Don't trust IMDb trivia, everybody. That's my advice. Because I did read that. I scanned that, but I don't think that's correct. So I'd have to go back and rewatch. No, rewatch Quantum Leap. That sounds fantastic. And so at sea and hoping for the wedding to be called off. And this is true. Simone says, Al loves love. He does. And in terms of how he does love, again, I don't want to leap ahead to the next episode, because we will be discussing that.
Yeah, that is what's next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I meant by it almost being a two-parter.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so we just have to keep Sam up to date as to what Ziggy says he has to do to make sure that that Philip doesn't die and Catherine doesn't pine her life away. And then we get Jenny coming in dressed up like, oh my. I'm trying to remember. I vaguely remember a movie where a person shows up dressed like this and they end up being a cartoon character. But we do get Catherine's little sister dressed up in
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Well, it might have been Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it also could have been Cool World. I forget. Anyway.
Okay.
And so, yeah, Jenny says that Catherine is locked up in her cabin, totally confused and miserable as to why Philip has reappeared.
Oh, apparently some parts of this episode were shot on the real Queen Mary in the ballroom and the garbage unit that we're going to see later.
Oh, nice. It was an authentic garbage unit, and I do like these shots of the ship at sea. And I thought it was kind of funny when Sam says, "Oh, people don't jump off of boats because of unrequited love," and obviously this came out before Titanic.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of a similar plot too, with the girl girl with the poor guy and going against the richer guy.
Yeah. Catherine felt she was in a crowded ballroom screaming at the top of her lungs and no one could hear her.
Did James Cameron watch Quantum Leap?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'd have to call him. But he doesn't.
Okay,
he stopped taking my calls based on my review of Avatar, the first one. So we haven't talked in a long time.
Was it? I didn't see it. I didn't like it.
No, I saw the first Avatar.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was. From what I remember, I liked it. It was. We can talk all about it next week when we start our new podcast, the Avatar review. It'll oddly enough be shorter than the movie itself.
It would take all of 2 minutes probably.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Jake Sully becomes a Smurf. And that's why me and Jim Cameron don't talk anymore, everybody. Thank you so much. But we are sailing across, and we have basically until tomorrow to set up what's going on. And so there is going to be a dinner, and Al does find out that Vinny the Snake is convicted of, is it 3? Yeah, well, 4 felonies. And Jenny, looking out for her sister, is on Philip's side, on Sam's side, to make sure that they do get together. And it's here. Sam says, "If she loves me, why did she slap me?" And then Al is like, "Because she loves you, you thick monkey."
Well, no, it wasn't Al who said that. That was Jenny who said that.
Was it Jenny who said it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, both of them are on the side of love.
They are.
And so we have to make sure that Philip and Catherine get together so that they can have a romantic reconciliation. Meanwhile,
in
the Farringtons' cabin.
1960s stereotype land of Italians and also misogyny.
Yes. It was a very patriarchal society in 1954 amongst the criminal underground of New York City. And yes,
That's what I see.
Vinny the Snake is often misquoting the works of Shakespeare.
He misquotes everything.
Yes. There's nothing worse than a person who thinks that they know the quotes off by heart, and then they try and fake it, and you sound like a damn idiot when you say it wrong.
Yes, right. The quote, he says, "Love hath no rot like a woman scorned," but the quote is actually, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned," and it wasn't even Shakespeare. It's an idiom that comes from a line in William Congreve's play, The Mourning Bride, from 1697.
Heavens.
And the line from it is, "Heaven has no rage like love to hatred turned, nor hell a fury like a woman scorned."
Lovely.
Yeah. So definitely. He's definitely a guy who isn't afraid to be completely wrong all of the time.
Well, and as we learn later, he doesn't even care that he's wrong.
Right. Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. But this is where we sort of find out that the reason that the marriage is going through between Vincent and Catherine is to aid in Farrington Nautical. They are going to buy into the industry or buy into the business, and that will keep, pun intended, the business afloat.
Yes, this is more of a business transaction than a marriage.
Right. And so Vinny's banging on the door saying, "Get the hell out here."
And the sad part is this is the exact same thing that happened to
Marion Farrington.
Marion, yeah.
But luckily, Vinny and his goon, and I guess Vincent's dad, leaves. And Catherine says, "Are they gone?" "Everything except the smell." And so Weathers Farrington tries to explain what is so important about this marriage of marriage of circumstance, I would say, not convenience.
Both?
Yes.
I think so. Convenience, definitely, because it's not out of love, definitely.
It's utilitarian.
There's a functional purpose for it.
Even if it doesn't have an ounce or iota of emotion.
Well, there is some emotion. There's some emotional manipulation from the father to the daughter to get her to believe that she doesn't have to love the guy, but do it for the financial security of the entire family. And somehow this works.
Well, it does, it's an appeal to responsibility and how to be a contributing member to the business and the family.
Oh yeah, and that's always a mistake when you try to put that kind of responsibility on your children to take care of the other children in the family.
Yes, that seems like an emotional purgatory that would be awful to live through. But if everything goes according to the way that things were, it won't be that long of a marriage. Hey, Herc 130 is here. Hey, Herc.
Hi, Herc 130. Hello.
And so, yeah, and there is the conversation in regards to, take a little responsibility for your life and saying you'll be able to carve out a little corner of happiness for yourself by having children, raising a family, and contributing to our own. Let's go to the wedding or the pre-wedding dinner, and
that's interesting. Remember that for the next episode because children are mentioned again in MIA, because there are some similar themes, even though they're completely different episodes.
Yes. And so Sam is all in tux and tails, ready to attend the wedding or attend the pre-wedding dinner. Is it like a rehearsal? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's like a rehearsal. Well, this wedding seems to be getting together awfully quickly because the episode starts with her in her wedding dress, and I guess it's getting upholstered, or not upholstered. She's not couched. Tailored.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And so the only way that so Jenny has acquired a key to the executive pool, first class pool, and the only way that they're going to be able to convince Catherine to get there is if Sam and Catherine can get together. And so Sam says, let's dance the tango. Now, before we get to the dancing of the tango, I do want to point out that Sam knows that he has to dance. Al suggests a tango because where's the only place that you can be intimate in a room full of people is when you're dancing. He goes into the ballroom, asks the seemingly French orchestra leader to play a tango, but he asks in French because Sam can speak many languages.
So that's one of his 6 languages, we know for sure.
And the band leader says, "Oh, I don't speak French. I just speak with a French accent." And so that's a sham as well. Again, these are all sort of like smiling chuckle moments, but not flat out comedy. It almost reminded me of like Clue, the movie, but without the multiple endings.
Well, thank goodness there weren't multiple endings to this episode.
Well, it is a choose your own adventure. In one, Philip lives, and in the other, one doesn't.
It's true.
But obviously, Vinny and his sidekick are rather upset with this turn of events. And of course, Vinny says, "I'll kill him. Give me your gun. I'm going to kill him." And Sam is saying, "Please meet me." And Catherine says, No. Please meet me. And if you meet me, then yes, I will stay out of your life, but we do have to talk before you do get married. And so throughout the whole thing, there was applause and a rose, but Vinny and I'm going to say Tony, Vinny and Tony corner Sam and say, let's just agree that if you don't talk to Catherine, then I won't kill you. And Sam says, "Well, no, I'm not gonna do that, unfortunately."
And here's his next misquote where he misquotes. He's saying he's quoting Shakespeare again. He says, "If thy eye offends thee, pluck it out." And the real quote is, "And if thy right eye offends thee, pluck it out." And again, it's not Shakespeare. This time, it's the Bible.
Really?
Yeah.
That's yes.
This is the best part of the episode for me, is finding all these quotes.
Obviously, and thank you so much for looking these up. I didn't know. I thought he was just misquoting, but with the actual author until the last one, and then when Sam corrects him. But
well, he says it with such authority.
Yes. Well, and then Sam quotes Don Corleone from The Godfather, which is entertaining. You're making me an offer. You're making me an offer I can't refuse, and Vinny's rather taken by that particular idiom.
He likes it.
So luckily, the captain intrudes, halting the process of Sam being perhaps extinguished or plucked, if you will.
I like the captain. He doesn't do much, but I love how excited he is to hear about how he survived going to Bora Bora.
Yes. Well, and then Al shows up at just the right moment to be able to explain to Sam how exactly he did survive.
You had no sextant or watch.
Yes, that is the biggest concern of the captain. And Sam says, those two men, they are going to kill me. If you can get a fax of the crimes that Vinny is guilty of, and he's like, a fax? And he's like, well, and they go through. Oh,
A
yeah,
telegram, and then a cable.
yeah. I will wireless, sir. But first, yes, you can fax you as fax, telegraph, cable. Have him cable. I'll wire Lieutenant Brown. But there are more pressing
Smoke
issues because,
signals.
yes, smoke signals. What about just the light signalman? Just do the flashy light thing. That would be fun.
Well, sure. Oh, yeah. Well, actually, that could be one. The one that relays all the way back to the lighthouse.
But we may be too far at sea.
It's true.
And so up until we do receive that information from shore, we're just going to carry on as if life were normal. And Sam does have to prepare himself to go to the first class pool, but he can't find his trunks.
Yeah, well, that's where they need I don't want to call her the loop. Jenny. They need Jenny. Jenny
Yes.
knows where the trunks are.
I didn't mean to say that derogatorily. But so Jenny comes in and finds his trunks for Sam. She says, "You should wear the blue ones. You look smashing in blue. I would like you to notice through the rest of this episode that his trunks are green."
Well, maybe there's some kind of blue-green.
Aquamarine?
Maybe.
Possibly.
I didn't catch the colors this time. We'll see if I actually got them at all.
Oh no, we'll see when he's hanging by chains. But is this, yes, this is when they convince Catherine, a conversation between Catherine and Jenny to get Catherine to go to the first class pool, which really took me because I feel like this is the longest in any episode of Quantum Leap that we have watched so far where we have not been with either Sam or Al.
Well, yeah, not only that, this is definitely one of the more lighthearted kind of episodes where there's not some kind of big moral, I guess, except for don't marry someone you don't love.
Well, yeah, I suppose we'll get there when we get there in this episode.
Mhm.
But I'm also curious as to what would have happened if Sam, I guess the whole meeting in the first class pool is what drives Catherine to do what she does at the end of the episode. But it's a conversation about what's going on. Oh no, it is later when we have the conversation between Jenny and Catherine that is rather touching. But Tony is scoping the entrance to the pool, and unfortunately there is no water in the pool. They drain it every night after 9, I think.
Well, I've never been on a cruise. Is this typical? Do they do this a lot? I don't know. I didn't look this part up. I put something in my notes. Go find this out, and I didn't ever go do that.
I can check if you'd like to continue with the recap.
Well, I could.
Do they drain the pool on the Queen Mary?
Well, you think that this, without the water, that this was going to be a less romantic scene, but they managed to pull it together anyway.
Oh, it's all modern. And if I put 1954 at the end.
Right. No, see, you're not going to be able to figure this out because this might be something from a relic, a thing that they used to do that they don't do anymore. It's like when I tried to look up the science, how they perceive science in the 60s. It's difficult to do that because all that comes up is today.
Yes, this is true. Oh, no. So unfortunately, on the fly, I can't grab it.
No, this would require too much digging.
And Simone with the possibility that maybe Jenny is colorblind. It's a possibility. And I like that. I like that it solves a lot of problems because I like Jenny too much to really say that she doesn't know the difference between blue and green. So thank you, Simone. And so, yeah, you never said that you don't love Vinny. I never said I didn't love Vincent. It's like, but you didn't say that you did. And so this is, Yeah, this is Sam saying, I can't let you I can't let you marry a man that you're not in love with, and you have a second shot at happiness. Don't let it,
Don't.
don't let it pass you by.
No. He says, don't let it sail away.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I apologize.
It's
I
the
watched this.
corniest.
Oh, come on. This is a really corny episode.
Yeah, but it really brings it up there.
So, Catherine storms off.
Yes.
And yes. See, and this is it. And there are a couple of sort of sidelong glances that Sam makes. And it says, it didn't make any sense that you didn't take Daddy's offer to work for the family. And Sam's like, really? Like he kind of looks like he's like, I don't know why he wouldn't. Like that was going to be something that came up in the future. But then Catherine explains that she wasn't going to reduce herself to be living in a small, silly little apartment in New York. But if she had that opportunity now, she would take it up in a moment and then move into that apartment. And Sam, why don't you? And she can't. She's about to get married. See, if I could do it all over again, I would move into that apartment this very moment. And so she has been taken by Weathers Farrington's advice to take responsibility for herself and the family, to do something beyond herself.
Yeah, instead of having agency over her life, she's allowing everyone else to have it over her. As her mother did before her, and possibly her grandmother, and before, over and over. I don't know how long this chain goes, but it's good that she breaks it in this episode.
Yes. And Simone in the chat says, cruise lines drain their swimming pools at night to discourage guests from trying to enter the pool when it is closed. And that makes sense, considering, well, where would you get more water? Well, obviously they're surrounded. Simone says, and to clean and sanitize, which makes sense.
It definitely does.
I've never been on a cruise myself, but I have heard filthy, filthy people.
Yeah, but I don't feel too bad because Sam didn't know either. Thank you, Simone.
And so they kiss, reaffirming their love, but Catherine is still not anymore. I can't afford to. And we have there we go. Yeah, don't let it sail away again. Yes, that is cheesy, but in a good way.
Yes, in a good way.
But as Sam leaves the pool area, Tony pulls a gun, and the major historical reference in the episode, when you hear over the loudspeaker aboard ship, paging Mrs. Thatcher, Mrs. Margaret Thatcher, which is obviously a reference to the future and former Prime Minister of Great Britain. The Iron Lady, she was called. I was very disappointed when I saw the Iron Lady because I thought it was a spin-off of Iron Man. There was not one mechanical suit in the Iron Lady, and certainly Thanos was not present.
Or it could have been sequel to the Iron Giant.
Could have been. Alien robot. Yep. And so just as Catherine is getting prepared for the wedding, they're looking for Jenny, can't find Jenny anywhere. Well, where could she have gone? It's a boat, can't go far. And the same thing is said about Philip/Sam. And then Marion Farrington does explain that this is a similar situation, as Jill mentioned, as to how they got married. But there was a man before, and the responsibility of the marriage came before her own personal happiness. Interesting that this episode was written by a lady.
It was. Maybe this is her commentary about something from the past that bothered her, and so she's talking about it. It bothers me too.
Is this what people mean when they say chattel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Sure. Okay, cool.
Definitely. Except money instead of cows and goats.
Right. Yes. Dowries and whatnot. And so, yes, there's a conversation, and Jenny even says, if you don't marry Philip, can I? And Catherine says, when that time comes, I hope that you get the opportunity to marry whoever your heart chooses. And again, they are laying on the romance a little thick.
Well, no, that is good for the message of the episode. If it is that you should marry for love, it means that Catherine won't do the same thing to her daughter that her mother is doing to her.
Yes. And so, but Philip is probably off doing whatever he wants, having the time of his life, when we actually find out that he has been hanging from a chain for the duration of the evening. It's not really well established, but Sam does say later on that he can't use his arms, essentially, because he's been hanging from the ceiling all night. And Vinny comes and wakes him up and says, "How did you sleep?" And Sam's being roguishly Sam, like a baby, he says. And this is where Vincent says, "My objects all sublime, I shall achieve in time a punishment to fit the crime," by Dostoevsky. And Sam says, "Gilbert and Sullivan." And Vinny goes, "Close enough."
Yes, finally, somebody calls him out on all these wrong attributions and quotes.
Yes. So Vincent cuts Sam down, and they say, "You know what? If you kill me, you can't kill everybody who gets in the way between you and Catherine." And Vinny says, "You're right. I can't kill everyone, just you." Hey, wait, go back. One more. Are those blue or green?
Oh, right. Crap. They look green.
They look. You know what? I'm with turquoise. They sort of look turquoise.
They could be. They could be blue green. Some kind of turquoise.
Aquamarine.
Maybe teal. It could be teal.
Nice. Okay, excellent. Also, we can offer decorating advice in terms of color swatches for your living room. But yes, Sam is thrown into the trash compactor and falls right into it. Oh, right. This is foreshadowed earlier in the episode when Al is complaining about the nature of waste disposal aboard ship in the 1950s and how it is an ecological menace. And when Al reappears here, I was actually on the edge of my seat being like, how is Sam going to get out of this?
You're right. This is the second time Al portrays Dean Stockwell's real-life environmentalism. And today, ships like this can no longer dump their garbage in the ocean. Not that nobody's putting garbage in the ocean anymore, but just in particular, ships like this don't do it. And in general, it's not something that's allowed. And when people do it, they're doing it privately and illegally.
Yes. And so, Tom. It's Tom? It's not Tony? Okay. Tom, get rid of the garbage.
It's Tom. Well, not every Italian person can be named Tony.
No, there's not a picture for the actor. I picked one. There is no mafia bodyguard uncredited. It only has Tony Maggio as Tony. And so I thought it was Tony. My mistake. It was Tom. I apologize for using.
It could be Tony. Maybe the caption was wrong.
Either way, the garbage is being expelled. When the light flashes, there is an alarm, but apparently no one on the ship cares. They're happy that the debris and waste is being ejected into the ocean. The back door opens, or the ejection chute. And this is, as you said, Dean Stockwell's real life environmentalism, explaining what happens by the year 2000, even though this episode wasn't filmed in the year 2000.
Yes, this is a prediction from Ziggy. I also had something in my notes to try to figure out how much garbage is in the ocean today to estimate how close Ziggy really was. But I didn't do that either. But that's not something we can easily research either. That would be really difficult.
Yes. Well, I will write it down, and hopefully I will have more ecological information for Dean Stockwell in our next episode. But yes, being rather flippant, Al is saying, "How did you get into this mess?" and recommending recommending to Sam that he pile up a bunch of garbage and stand on it so he can leap to the gangway. And Sam, again, he's been hanging by his wrists from the ceiling for many hours, and even so much so, like in his delirious state, says, "Al, throw me the rope." And he's like, "I can't throw you the rope, Sam. I'm a hologram."
Right. That's the panic in Sam not realizing his situation. But that happens to Al too when he forgets he's a hologram and he runs through stuff.
Yes. Well, and Al has wishful thinking towards the end of the next episode as well in terms of his holographic nature.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But that is in the script.
Yes. And so General Martok giving away his daughter. And basically it kind of and so we are having the marriage very close to the end here, where they're going through the wedding ceremony. Sam is trying to get to the hook or the chain, but luckily someone has discarded a broken umbrella. Sam hooks onto it. There is a moment of tension, and I'm glad that this actually happened, because I was like, I don't believe that that Sam would have been able to climb up an umbrella. I'm pretty sure the umbrella would have broken, but he does pull the chain down so he can reach it, and he grabs the chain, and then there we go. The old college strike. Attaboy, Sam. God, I love Al. And so last minute, it looks like he's going to be pushed into the ocean. And but Al sort of blinks his way over to the wedding, begging anyone to say that they stand in defiance of this wedding. And it ends up being Catherine. And so Vinny says, "You better talk to your daughter." And then General Martok says, "If Catherine doesn't want to marry you, I have no intention of trying to change her mind."
Yes, I like that, even though her dad guilt-tripped her into marrying this guy the entire time, that when she ultimately says no at the altar, he finally decides to support her. It's a little late. Really, really late.
Yes.
Instead of using your daughter for financial gain, support her in the way she wants to live her life. But, he got there in the end, I guess.
Well, and to his credit, when he was first explaining her responsibility to the family, it looked like it pained him to do so.
Yeah, but it's still kind of selfish.
Yes.
He's the one whose business is failing, not hers.
Yes.
It's not her business.
And so Vinny says this is a very big mistake, and Sam runs in, reeking of garbage, wearing his almost blue trunks, and tells Captain Sheffield, "This man tried to kill me." And so the captain has no recourse except to say, "You guys, you're both confined to your cabins until we can determine exactly what's going on." And Vinny says, "I ain't being confined nowheres." And so, yeah, there we go. Harvard 1919. And so General Martok defends the honor of his daughter. Sam smells like garbage. And
she doesn't care.
She doesn't care. She's in love. It overwhelms the stench. The power of love. And so, yes, Al does say, 6 kids. You guys are going to be busy bunnies. Oh, and then there is a nice little addendum in terms of the future of Jenny. She writes a story of the tale of Philip and Bora Bora, and it's going to become a best-selling novel supporting the family and keeping, again, pun intended, the business afloat.
Yes, that way we can have a happy ending for everybody.
Yes.
Through the power of literature, which was also a theme in this episode.
Yes. Don't misquote things.
Especially Jenny's murder mystery.
Yes.
I know some great lines are going to come from that.
And so we do, yes. And Simone with an accurate count of the bunnies. Thank you, Simone. And so we get this is the final leap of the season, and Sam is mortified to find out that he is a woman, but he's not.
Until he looks in the mirror, then he's like,
Right.
wait a minute.
And that ends Sea Bride. Did you like it?
Sure. Yeah, it was cute. Where's my sci-fi? I don't know, but it's cute. Yes. But actually these two episodes work well perfectly together. The next one has more of the quantum leap rules and actual theme of the actual episode in it. That makes it a much better episode than this one, but this one was a cute little story.
Well, yeah, it was sort of just a farce. I enjoyed it. The power of love overcoming all, and yeah, I thought it was cute. But you're right. There was very little to do with the sci-fi of the situation, and also when Catherine is the one to step away from Vinny at the end, I guess that the difference is that Philip survived in this timeline.
Philip survived? Well, why? Wait, why is that a question?
Well, because, okay, so Sam is to make it so that Catherine doesn't marry Vinny. Vinny would have killed Philip, and so Philip wouldn't have been able to rush back in and say, arrest Vinny for attempted murder, because...
First of all, Philip wouldn't have known about it. Sam knows about it because of Ziggy.
Oh, that's true, too. So there is a little bit of time travel for knowledge.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it doesn't ignore the elements. So that's true. That's good.
Yes. So I'm glad. Thank you, Jill. I'm glad that we get to. I kind of was going to let it slide because it was sort of a silly episode, and I was going to be like, oh, okay, everybody wins because of the power of love. But it does make sense.
And the power of Martok.
The power of Martok, the House of Martok. Yes. Oh my stars! I just love seeing this is one of my favorite things about Quantum Leap is I get to play Where's Waldo with Star Trek actors because there are a bunch. So, but then we go on to something a little actually while I agree with you wholeheartedly that this is not a two-parter, but there is definitely sort of a rhythm to these two episodes because it even starts off rather silly at the beginning of MIA and then gets more and more serious and sad as the episode continues.
Yes, and that also reflects in Al's performance too. He starts off as normal as ever, and then his demeanor changes completely when he realizes what day it is.
Well, speaking of what day it is, Canadian Spider-Man, hey bud, says hello everyone, happy Thursday. Only on my cell phone today, so limited. Well, happy to have you here, man.
Oh, hello, Canadian Spider-Man. I'm so excited to see you here today.
Cheers.
Happy Thursday.
But yeah, so we get Al. Now, I do have to say that in this particular outfit, because Sam, well, we will discover that Sam is playing an undercover policeman, a narc in San Diego. But I'm not sure how I feel about this because Scott Bakula's bum looks great in that skirt.
He does look great, and Al agrees. He says, "I think you look." He agrees that, in his opinion, that he looks great the way he is.
But Sam does. Oh, sorry.
Well, I hear that the costuming in this episode, this entire series, whenever they do need to dress Scott Bakula in women's clothing, they take it very seriously and make sure that he looks good in whatever they put on him.
Which, you know, and just incredible credit to Scott Bakula. And I think we've talked about this before. But just the fact that he does carry so much of the show, playing so many parts and so many costumes and doing so many things. And it's just Scott Bakula is the hardest working man in television in 1990, if not all time.
He is, definitely. There are some things that he does in this episode that I could see other actors saying, no, I'm not doing that. But Scott is there for whatever the writers want to do.
Well, and just as a brief aside, Kat and I talked about Spider-Man 3 last night. And there's a part where Mary Jane is in peril at the end of the movie, and she wasn't supposed to be initially. And I found out in looking it up that all of the screams of Mary Jane at the end of Spider-Man 3 were just ripped off of Spider-Man 1 and 2. They just took her screams from those two movies so that she didn't have to scream again in the third one.
That's economical, and it's nice, I guess. But then we don't get a particular scream for that particular whatever traumatic event occurred.
Well, how many supervillains are gonna, kidnap you before? Anyway,
I don't know. I didn't watch all of Spider-Man 3. It's one of the few movies I ever walked out on.
Oh wow. Well, then I wouldn't recommend listening to the review. If you didn't like the movie, the review is going to be even worse.
Oh no, I actually I enjoy reviews of things that I don't like, so I probably would like it.
Well, you can check that out on the Fantasmagorium channel.
Hooray.
But yes, we have Sam. He does have a walkie-talkie in his handbag, and the criminals that are running out of the building, because this is the narc squad, they hear the walkie-talkie and say, "Oh, it's a narc," and take aim at Sam, who ducks behind a dumpster. One of the perps, I guess, is shot and is just generally a negative man, as drug dealers happen to be, or at least in 1969 in San Diego.
I think it might be just the thing.
Yes. And so Sam, yeah, you know what? In this day and age, I don't know who I'm supposed to be pleasant to and who I'm not. So like, you don't want to be too harsh on these. It's a different lifestyle, different choices. But he's a criminal, so he gets shot in the leg or something. And so this is
right, and they're just standing around talking about guns while I got a bullet in my leg.
Yes, but that Sam's name is Jake, and his partner Roger Skaggs.
Well, his partner figures out that Sam froze in action, but Skaggs plays it off to everyone that the gun only jammed until he even when he realizes that the safety was on, proving the contrary, he still backs up his partner.
Yes.
Oh.
And we do have Dalek. Dalek 45.
Hi, Dalek.
Ahoy. Hail, Jill and Scotty. Glad to see you reviewing this show again. We're super jazzed to be back reviewing this as well. And as I mentioned earlier, just watching these episodes makes me feel so happy, fills my heart with joy. And Simone says, Sam's got legs and he knows how to use them. Is that ZZ Top? I think so. I don't want to be a Vinny on this one. But yes, he does. And so, yeah, Roger says, Roger covers for him. And as Jill mentions, Roger recognizes Sam freezing up in the heat of the moment and explains, not through an actual flashback, but more of a recollection, a Vietnam recollection about being a point man in Vietnam and seeing just a baby in the clearing as he was walking point, just his head in the clouds, not really paying attention. He sees this baby and he freezes and he didn't know what to do. His platoon walks up behind him and the enemy jumps out and ambushes them. And it's obviously very traumatic for Roger. And says that he knew what was going on. And unfortunately, sorry.
And then he says, well, I figure if a man's lucky, he gets to freeze up once in his life and live to talk about it, but not twice. And so you think that it's not, this part isn't going to matter, but it does.
Yes, it is foreshadowing for the future, because there will be something amiss in this particular leap. But we don't know what it is yet. Sam just gets into the car, or will get into the car after the recounting of this particular Vietnam flashback, and says, "Whatever happened to the baby that was used as bait?" And Roger just says, "You better put that tissue away, or Lisa's going to think that
Yeah, he
I got a
completely
lady."
avoids the question. So,
Which
tells you the answer without having to
sadly,
tell you the answer.
yes. And so they head back to the station to get out of his undercover disguise. And April 1st, 1969.
Yes, this episode first aired on May 9th, 1990. It was written by Donald P. Belisario. So the last one was written by Deborah, and this one's written by Donald, both the series creators.
Oh, fantastic.
For
Well, and that leads a little bit more credence into the fact that, again, thematically, or at least in terms of the flow of the episodes, it is somewhat of a two-parter.
They were planned together, I believe.
Well, and when we started the last episode, the last time that we reviewed, it was a flashback to, I think, season 1 episode. Like, we didn't get to see the leap into last week's episode. It was these two were the fresh ones. And we don't even,
well, sometimes they just do that. They leap from they leap from the episode into a season 1 episode or a previous episode, because what they're going to do is play a rerun next week. And so they want you to think that it makes sense in terms of the leap.
Right. And so, Susan Dial, who plays Beth, as we will see her, and I do have a note on her later, but Al does call. Al calls Sam over towards him while everyone else is hooting and hollering at Jake in his disguise, if you will, and he needs to be able to check out his locker, which is now filled with lingerie. And Sam starts. They say, or Al says, "This is a hazing," and Sam says, "Yeah, okay, all right, I'll roll with it. This is just how it goes." And starts naming multiple women, many of whom are Sam or Al's ex-wives. It's like, this will look good on Tina. This will look good on Elsa. Maybe this will look good on Lisa, and throws it to Roger, at which point he says, "That's not funny."
Right.
Playfully.
And as this is an Al episode, he goes through different moods. In this one, he starts the way he usually is lighthearted and showing his expertise in female undergarments. And actually, it proves to me that he knows about feminine undergarments more than I do, since I don't wear all of these different kinds of things, girdles or anything, really. Like maybe once or twice, but it's not like a thing I do. Yeah. But Al knows about about things.
Yes. And so Sam says, "Ooh, pads." And Al, "Well, you look good in the purple number with the white fuzz. Lovely." But as Al is consulting with his hand link, he finds out that Sam is named Jake, and that he is the young man, or the rookie on the force in the narc squad, doing undercover work. And he goes through what Jake has done. He enrolled in criminal justice at San Diego.
Yeah, he got a bachelor's in criminal justice.
Yes.
And UCSD.
And as he's going through and he discovers the date. Oh, right. This is also Al helping Sam on how to remove a lady's clothing, which makes sense for Al's character.
Yes.
And but he is sort of he's not as jovial as the interactions continue, and sort of realizes where they are what the date is, and after he enjoys the fact that it is April Fool's Day, I wouldn't even know putting on a girdle.
Right, yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know that this is backwards. So I'm with Sam on that one.
Well, and I would just say, if it's comfortable, it's the right way. But that whole spinning around the bra thing, that's something new to me.
Well, see, I don't dress fancy often. When I do, I'm like, how does this even work? Why are these things so complicated?
A lot of hooks and clips, and yeah. Oh, the extent of the efforts that we go through to look good. Am I
Mhm.
right, ladies?
Yeah.
Anyway, and so when Al does notice the date, Sam, you're here to stop a woman from
Yeah.
abandoning
So, yes.
her husband, who is MIA, missing in action. And this kind of reminded me of the time when Sam had leapt into, was it Jimmy? The
You're talking about the professor, the creepy professor.
No.
Yeah.
When again, because this is an Al episode, it alludes back to some of Al's past, some of which
Hmm.
is rather tragic, and his sister who had succumbed because of her mental sort of condition, and
Right. She had to go to the hospital and didn't come back.
right, and so that was very. I remember reading it on this very show, and it was kind of heartbreaking when you hear that. And this seems like something along those lines. Not that necessarily Al is the person MIA, but he empathizes with the MIA, the missing in action, uh, prisoner of war. Uh, and is very concerned with making sure that Beth remains true until his return. Uh, so Al is explaining that Beth, who is supposed to stay true, thinks that her husband is dead. And so we've got to go and find Beth.
Well, yeah, I think this is the first time that we see Al misdirecting.
Yes, very much so. In fact, like I think that there have been two instances where Al has been the one saying you can't interact with Terry Hatcher or your dad.
Jerry Hatcher?
Terry Hatcher was Sam's first love.
Yes. Okay. So that's the episode with the creepy professor, right?
That was the
Yes. Okay.
episode
So
with the
that's the
creepy.
one that's why I was thinking of that because Sam does help her reunite with her dad, but in the hopes that it'll one day cause him to have a second chance with her.
Right. And so Al explains that the husband is going to be repatriated in 1973, only to come home to discover that Beth had remarried and disappeared. They never got to reunite after the war. And so here we have. I don't know, Jill. Do you recognize this handsome devil named Dirk?
You know what? I kind of do, but you're gonna have to.
That is Proconsul Neril from the episode Unification 1 and 2, where Spock is attempting to draw together the Vulcan and the Romulan people. He is the proconsul of the Romulan Star Empire.
Played by
The,
Norman Large.
I'm sorry?
He's played by Norman Large.
Yes, he was very prolific throughout Star Trek The Next Generation and Voyager. And honestly, I don't know how many people had this distinction when it came to Star Trek actors, but he plays a Kazon and an Okampa.
Wow. Okay, he has the ability to play both of those roles.
Yes.
Neat.
And then he's also in Dark Page, I think it's called, the episode where we find out about Kestra. Troy's.
Loxana.
Yes, the Loxana Troy episode.
Loxana's daughter, and yeah, Troy's sister.
Yes, but who had drowned. And Dalek in the chat says, of all the episodes centered on Al, this is arguably the most emotional and impactful one. I agree.
It is.
I did become very, very misty as the episode goes on, and you do get to see the desperation. But Beth is having quite a strong reaction to something rather tragic that occurred the day before. But she has a flat tire, and this good Samaritan says, "Well, I don't know if I can fix a lot of things, but I can help with the straw," because Beth does say that this is the straw that broke the camel's back, and sparks seem to fly. It seems that these two are sort of hitting it off. But on Al's instructions, Sam comes and takes over from Dirk to change the tire, and Roger's kind enough to go along with the subterfuge and separate the two of them. Sam telling Beth or implying that Dirk had done something incorrectly, and Roger implying that Beth had broken the law, saying that she was a suspect, just to keep them apart. And Roger does ask Dirk, "Are you a lawyer?" And Dirk, as a matter of fact, I am. But yes, this is just what Sam thinks that he's to be doing, which is keeping Beth away from essentially any man, which is kind of extreme. Oh yeah, and then speaking of the music that is present in the episode, we have "Heard It Through the Grapevine," which is in the episode, and I would assume, based on your previous comments, Jill, that if the characters sing it, it's probably in the episode.
Yes, this is the only one of the correct musical cues, except for whatever was created for the episode. That's correct.
Did they not even? They don't even play Georgia at the end.
That is the worst crime, actually.
Okay.
Like if I didn't have the Blu-rays, I would be really upset right now that I didn't. I knew that Georgia would be played at the end, and it did when it didn't come up in the Amazon version.
Mm-hmm. That is incredibly frustrating, and it does take away from the impact of the episode.
It's part of the story, you know. It's supposed to happen, and it doesn't.
And so this is again just sort of not really explaining, but saying that the young lady's in a bit of trouble, and Beth asking, "Well, what did he do? What did he do?" And Sam saying he wasn't at liberty to discuss it. But as he drives away, Dirk gives Beth his business card. "If you need any assistance," because he is a lawyer, call me. Number's on the card. And
yeah, she's been alone for 2 years already at this point.
Oh yes,
with Al. Oops.
Spoilers for a television show from 1990. Apologies.
Al hasn't been gone.
You know, I'm pretty sure Dalek doesn't know. Dalek knows what's going to happen.
Dalek knows what's going to happen.
So on to our next sort of police quest mission, because again, part of the police force, we have to go to the a stakeout to go find a drug dealer, and Sam is playing a yogi or a shaman of some sort, and he is in the lotus position. He is cross-legged and saying that he can't get any circulation to his legs. Roger goes and tries to spark up a conversation to buy drugs off of the suspect, if you will. And Sam says, "Why am I still here?" And this is getting back to the what does he want? Bringing us back to the more metaphysical, religious idea of God that happens throughout Quantum Leap. It is heavier in some parts of the series than others.
That's right. Usually they just say it's a higher power, and this one they very specifically mention not only God but also the devil later.
Devil.
And yes. You know what? I didn't do a spoiler because in that scene where we meet Beth, we learn her last name is Calavicci, so everybody knows at that point.
True. Now, in the
Except for Sam.
right, yeah, Sam didn't hear her say Calavicci. He doesn't find out until later. In fact, the audience is ahead of Sam on this one, which is kind of a feeling of dread, and you can almost see, and especially in Dean Stockwell's performance, that he is sort of frantic, frazzled. He is on his last nerve, trying to figure out how he can fix this for himself.
Yes, right. He's calling the lawyer all these names, but there's no evidence to support that this is a bad guy.
Well, and it's interesting, and I think it was obviously dubbed here because they say, like, Al says, we have to keep him away from that scuzzball, but you can read his lips, and he says scumbag.
Wait.
And it's like,
Sleazebag.
Yeah, sleazebag, but he says scumbag.
I wonder why they would change that.
I think it's a little too harsh this early in the episode to make it like why does Al hate Dirk so much? And I think Sam would have picked up on it if he had called him a scumbag.
Well, no, it actually Sam wouldn't pick it up because this happens all the time where they have to change someone's life because what they're getting into is with somebody dangerous or something's wrong with them. And so Sam is just taking this for granted that maybe this guy is a sleazebag because Al tells me, but he's not backing it up with information from Ziggy this time.
Right. And as we discover later on, there's only been one hypothesis been run through Ziggy. He hasn't even considered any of the other variations.
Exactly, or any of the other people that they've met along the way.
Right.
Usually he'll research everybody.
And so, yes. And so Al is protecting what was meant to be between Beth and her husband. And I think this is the most I've seen with Al with half smoked cigars as well. Usually he's got a full cigar. He's usually just gesticulating with it. He's not necessarily smoking it. And this one, he's got the stogies going. He is not enjoying himself based on his desperation.
That's an interesting observation I wouldn't have picked up on, and I think that must have been intentional. Good call.
Well, and again, Dean Stockwell is an incredible actor who's been doing this for a long time, even at this point. And so, this is, again, referring back to Al's sister, and this is where we've sort of seen this behavior before, in that Al attributes his passion towards this particular leap through shared experience between the leapee or what is meant to be set right. And also that does refer to Sam having his brain Swiss cheesed. Al says, don't worry about that. Your brain was probably Swiss cheesed by it. Just keep listening to me. And so, yeah. Beth has been living alone for the last 2 years, indicating that Al her husband went missing in 1967, as Jill mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is currently with Beth specifically that she had just lost a patient because she works as a nurse in the burn ward. She'd been throwing herself into her work. And because of the death of one of the burn victims in the naval hospital, that she is sort of devastated by that, and Al considers that to be her last sort of vestige of hope as to being reunited with her husband, and that she needs someone to talk to have a shoulder to cry on, who is not going to take advantage of her. Dalek says, yes, I do know what's going to happen. This is also the last episode of season 2. On to season 3 for next time. Yeah, absolutely, Dalek.
That's right. So we got 2 season finale episodes here.
Yeah. And so Al is trying to coax Sam into going to do all the things that Beth likes, having all the food that Beth likes, listen to all the music that Beth likes, or at least
remind Beth about me.
Exactly.
Please.
Yes. And even Sam does say at one point, is like, how does Ziggy know all these things? How is that even possible? And he's like, don't worry about it. So Roger is discovered as being an undercover cop, and the young lady takes off with the bag of drugs. I assume it's drugs. It's contraband no matter what. And Sam tries to get up and chase after the young lady, who is the sidekick to the suspect. But he can't run because his legs lacked circulation from the lotus position. Meanwhile, at the Mos Eisley Cantina, this gentleman who was shot in the leg is out on bail, has been given a gun, and is basically looking to exact his revenge upon the arresting officer, Roger Scabs, is what he heard. Not Skaggs, Scabs.
It's close enough.
It does work. It does work. So down at the marina, there's this lady.
Dirk's mom.
It is Dirk's mom. And at this point, it seems that Beth is a chain smoker who is just looking for the sunset, trying to be alone, settling her mind.
And Dirk is a sailor, just like in the last episode. Philip was a sailor.
Oh, true. What if Al had come back? Well, only someone like Philip gets that kind of second chance. And so, yes, this was something that was common during the Vietnam War in terms of the MIA bracelets. People would wear them in solidarity to the missing in action or prisoners of war during the Vietnam conflict.
I looked at alsplace.com, quantumleap-alsplace.com, and it says that Beth's particular MIA bracelet was not created until 1970.
Oh.
I don't know what that means. But...
No, that means that Al's Place is more reliable than IMDb. And my experience with them is different, just because I wasn't around in 1969, but it was something that in the mid 80s and late 80s, with some association with a military background, there were people who I knew who still wore those bracelets. But Dirk's mom, Mrs. Dirk, says you can come down to the Bay Club, and Beth says that she doesn't feel like she's properly dressed, and she says, "Oh, pish tosh, young lady, dressed in a naval uniform to go to a nautical club? Of course, you're perfect." And so, yes. Dirk Simon. And I like that little moment, just because sometimes when you watch movies or TV shows and they say, "Oh, my son Paul will be so happy to see you," and it's like, Paul last name, and it's like, how did you know? And it's like, well, yeah, that's a bit of a contrivance, but Dirk, not a common name.
Right, it makes more sense with Dirk. Not a lot of people named Dirk. And
have you ever met a Dirk? I've never met a Dirk.
No, I've never met a Dirk.
And so Sam pulls up. Sam pulls up and lies about being able to find Beth, just chalking it up to being a cop, and says, "You want to go get some food, grab a beer, get some lunch?"
And we get our next musical cue. Our next song.
What's the next one?
Is "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay" by Otis Redding. And
yes.
And if you don't have the Blu-rays, you don't get to hear it.
See, and when I found out that you got the Blu-rays, I stopped writing down the music because I knew you were going to watch them. But now that I know that you're still going to have to deal with the subtitles, I'll get back on my my jukebox duties.
Well, I plan on moving it to my media server, so this won't be an issue. Hopefully next week.
Okay, well, still, I should anticipate. I should be.
Well, it's fun to talk about the music anyway.
It is good, and
now I get to be in on it. I was jealous so much before.
And so this is I like that. What was it? It's $1.87 for 2 beers. The entire lunch costs $2 essentially, and he's like, to cheap dates, sort of referring to where from coming from the future, where you can't buy much with $2.
Yeah, for what I meant was that less than $2 for a beer and tacos and a quesadilla.
And so, which are all Beth's favorite things.
Mhm.
And
She has good taste.
yes, yeah, absolutely. And so Sam is doing his best to tiptoe around and sort of provide some subterfuge and the attempted pickup. And he felt pretty lousy with the MIA bracelet and the wedding ring. And this is where we start getting Al sort of snooping around, checking things out.
But he leaves before she comes to the house.
Sam sees him though,
Mhm.
and she explains the situation of what was going to happen to her patient, and
Yes, if they're 80% burned, they usually don't make it, but she believed that this one particular soldier would because of his grin. But ultimately, he succumbed to his illness and got a fever, coughed up blood, and that was the end of that.
yes, and it was just too much, and also just a very out of character situation. If the audience hadn't pieced it together that Al is sort of skulking outside as opposed to being a part of the conversation with Beth inside, because this is prime time
I'm pretty sure
where
the audience knows by now what's going on because there are plenty of emotional and visual clues, not
yes,
to mention knowing her last name.
yes, I kind of want to sort of supplant myself as the audience, saying that maybe the audience doesn't know because Sam doesn't know, because usually Sam is in possession of all the facts and what he's supposed to be doing, but I don't like seeing Sam being manipulated like this, and
Yeah,
especially not
he is.
by Al.
Well, because Al's his only lifeline to his own time.
It's true. And so while they're setting up and getting ready for the next stakeout, supposed to be supposed to be garbage men, and he doesn't have a fitting jumpsuit, and so Al jumps in, says, "You look like hell, Sam," and Sam says, "I could probably say the same thing about you," and he does. Al is looking rough, much more frazzled. Oh no!
Uh, yeah, Microsoft PowerPoint is not responding. So I'm
Neither.
going to close it and
Okay.
I'll just reopen it. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay. See,
Nobody
and
panic.
this is exactly 42 is the answer. But see, even computers in the year 2023 can be emotionally overwhelmed by an episode of Quantum Leap from 1990.
Yeah, they're worried about Sam for looking like hell.
Actually, I think that I think your computer is frustrated with not giving the proper information to Ziggy. There is some sort of a
Oh, the computers are conspiring together. When Ziggy is not respected, watch out what happens with your machine.
exactly. That's how I like to think of it. Uh, but yeah, so I guess yes. The old softy in me is like, oh come on, nobody should know, and I don't want Al to be reacting this way. But I guess if put in that
No,
situation as, go ahead.
no, everybody knows as soon as I heard her name, I was like,
As soon
wait, okay, I get this now. And then the next scene, he calls the Laura guy a scumbag and sleazeball, and he doesn't say why. Usually, he has a reason. He's like in the last episode, he said the guy's a convicted felon or something. We get
Right.
something.
It's not just because that's the guy who's going to marry my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is again another parallel to the previous episode. But it is sort of heartbreaking. And again, knowing that the rules of the time travel are here, you can't interact with anyone from your own life, and just as the when Sam leapt into the creepy English professor, and when in the first episode when Sam wanted to call his dad. And,
oh right, that was a great scene.
Yes.
The very first episode. Mm-hmm.
And that is something that we'll come back to again, is Sam's relationship with his father, which is also touching. Another one of those episodes, and I'm sure Dalek would agree, that is rather emotional.
What makes those scenes more powerful is that they can't happen often because it's against the rules typically, and so skirting those rules is what makes for an interesting episode.
Well, and as we've seen with other pseudo science fiction shows of the times, is that if you're crying all the time, then it doesn't make any impact when it's really important.
Right. I'm almost there.
I understand. Also, like, yeah, I guess this is just sort of chalked up to oh right, they're feeding tequila to the baby. I forgot. Or trying to, at least. And they're actually rather racist as well. You want a little drink? You know that baby can only understand Mex.
Yeah, but at the same time, also understanding a little bit of Spanish.
Yeah, I suppose. And so, Mrs. Simon. And I guess
that's nice.
Yes. Also, I really like Beth's car. Anyway. And when I was looking, I was somewhat, at first glance, I thought that Susan Diol was Terry Farrell, because I know.
Oh my God, really?
I know that Terry Farrell is coming up, but Susan Diol does return. Most recently, she is in the reboot, the recontinuation of Quantum Leap.
Wow.
Yes.
She comes up again?
She does play Beth again.
Incredible.
Yes. I've heard mixed things on the new one, but
is she still with Dirk?
No, I can't say. I can't say.
Why not? I don't care. I'm not going to watch the. Maybe I will.
Are you going to watch the rest of this series?
Yes. Oh, then you can. Okay, gotcha.
I can't specify what's going on. But yes, Beth's patient had succumbed to his illnesses, or to his injuries, and the next day at the precinct, they're getting ready for the next stakeout. You look like hell. Look at Al. He's looking scraggly. He doesn't have you can't really tell here, but he is somewhat unshaven. Obviously, it's makeup unshaven. He hasn't actually grown out his beard that much, but and so, yeah, again, there was the reference to he, and this is sort of the not unhinged, but the very impassioned plea from Al, saying, "Don't worry about him, worry about him," referring to the devil. And it's like, Sam says he doesn't believe in the devil, and Al is a testament to the performance as well. Al is you don't know what it's like to be in a bamboo cage with too short for you to stand up and too narrow for you to sit down.
Mm-hmm. And then he could only drink rainwater and eat infested rice.
Mm-hmm. And the only thing keeping you alive was the memory of the woman that you love and the hope that you would be reunited some other day or someday. But then you find out your wife has run off with some other guy. Last name changed and never to be seen again. There is a devil, Sam. And and he's trying to destroy Beth's life. And I think that this is, again, well, obviously, this is a situation where Al is trying to redeem his own life, not redeem his own life, but have the life that he feels was taken away from him based on
Yes,
his
it was.
experience in Vietnam, which
Because the what can't you do?
I can't disagree with that. I would be incredibly angry if that were the situation that I had gone through myself. And to
Mhm.
see it from Beth's perspective, I don't fault Beth either.
Right, from her perspective, he's already dead. He's
Hmm.
died, and it's not like she didn't wait. It's been 2 years, and if she had to wait longer, it would be 4 more years before Al actually returns.
And it's not even a matter of waiting for him to return. There
Right.
isn't even certainty that he will return.
There's no clue that he's alive, or there's
Hmm.
no hope. There's no word from the field that
Hmm.
he's out there.
And
He's just
so
in a cage.
and so Al is pleading, you gotta go find her. You go and Sam is or does he say I can't be with her 24 hours a day? I gotta go on another stakeout? And he's like,
Yes, right. Because Sam is starting to realize that he's only doing this particular thing, and that isn't something more important happening at the police station. What's going
right.
on? I know I saw that there were other criminals involved here.
And yeah, Dalek, absolutely. It's unfortunate that we got Beth mid bite, but and there's Dirk again. But Dalek says Dean Stockwell's acting in this scene is beyond top notch. I would say in this scene is top notch, but then when you get to the last scene, that's when it's really. I appreciate the anger of Dean Stockwell in that scene, describing his time in the prisoner of war camp. But when he is with Beth at the end of the episode, not with Beth, because obviously he's just a holographic projection, but that is also top notch. So let's say both. Both are top notch acting by Dean Stockwell. May he rest in peace. He is lost but not forgotten. I adore Dean Stockwell.
Yeah,
Even
Quantum Leap wouldn't be Quantum Leap without him. Every episode is better the more it has of Dean Stockwell.
well, that will come back later on in subsequent seasons, but I can't wait for you to see those, Joe. But yes, Dirk and Beth run into each other at lunch, and they they got together. Or not got together. They hang out and have lunch purely platonically. He is aware of the fact that Beth is married. He's not, as Al professes, a scumbag. He's actually rather respectful of the situation in comparison to other cads that we have seen throughout the series. And so, identifying the situation, Dirk says, "Oh, Jake was trying to pick you up," and Beth is apologetic. Yes, but they had been together the night before discussing the loss of the patient, and so Beth and Jake have a friendship, and Dirk is, because obviously Sam's being platonic, but Dirk is also sympathetic and just having a conversation, and it's like, oh, your mother was doing the right thing by offering to invite us together. And it's like, no, she was being selfish. She has a single son and she wants grandchildren. So
Yeah,
why
and
don't you
still
have?
nothing sinister coming from this Dirk guy. He's just a
Well,
guy.
he is a Romulan, and so yeah, and so this gentleman. The drug dealer who is shot in the leg, trying to exact his revenge upon Skaggs, gets his girlfriend.
Scabs.
Well, Scabs is what he heard, but is real. But she actually, yes, she does. She does. Oh, Rosalie, played by Letitia Vasquez, does call in several tips for Scabs as to some drug dealers, and so wow, look at this, even more ragged, and going
Oh,
through the list of things that did you get Beth the Ray Charles record of Georgia? And so Sam getting frustrated, flustered with the extent that he has to go to maintain the love of Beth.
And this is language that we don't see very much from Ziggy. Ziggy feels.
Yes.
Ziggy feels.
Ziggy feels.
This should have been a bit. This should have been a red flag to Sam that these things will remind her of her husband.
But again, this is just a matter of the trust between Sam and Al as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is what Ziggy says, and see, look at him. He's just hauling on the stogie. And Dalek says, okay, I agree that both that scene and the ending are top notch. It's an all around great Dean Stockwell performance in this episode, from the desperation to the loss. It is, again, as this episode goes on, from the playful banter that we get from a usual Quantum Leap adventure, it does get more dire, but in an emotional way. No one's going to die. Well, are they?
And Al's Place also says Dean did not enjoy acting painful moments in this episode. He said he would much rather act when Al was lighthearted and fun.
Understandable. But Sam's also, and again, speaking of the friendship between Sam and Al, Sam is like, this is bringing up a lot of parallels between the husband that we're trying to reunite with his wife and your situation. So I understand. Maybe he's not piecing it together, but Sam is understanding of the situation. And Al gets a notification on Google Maps that says they're together. And Sam is just frustrated.
Yeah, Sam thinks that he needs to be there for Skaggs because Skaggs is his partner. And why did he leap into a police officer if the police part doesn't matter?
Mm-hmm. But Beth and Dirk are at Beth's place, and the final revelation to the audience and us all in Beth describing her husband, Dirk being very understanding.
He is, yeah, he's a good guy. That's the terrible part. You don't want him to win, but he there's nothing wrong with him.
He's kind of like a low rent Kmart Sam. Like with his hair and his aggressive salmon sweater. But yeah. But
I didn't consider that. You're right, because he isn't a villain. Like usually it's going to be some kind of antagonist.
He's just a guy.
But he's just a guy, and they dress him accordingly.
Yeah. He's non-threatening. He's actually rather pleasant. He's gentlemanly, understanding. But come on. Mm-hmm. It would be best in life, the universe, and everything if Beth and Al were together.
Of course.
According to Al, and probably it would be best for Beth as well, not to have to live with that loss as she does. And so it explains why they never had children, because Al didn't want to drag children from duty station to duty station, base to base. And so she places the picture of Al on the mantle. And how long were they married for? 6 years?
How long were they? Al married Beth in June 1961. By 1969, with sea duty and TDY assignments, Al was only around Beth for 2 of the 8 years they had been married. 8 years.
Yes. And Dirk says you didn't divorce him. And Beth is, you can't divorce a man who's flying off to fight in a war.
Right. Only 4 months after Al's first tour in Vietnam ended, he volunteered for a second tour. So that's why she didn't see very much of him.
Yes. And MIA, and that's when he went MIA. And then she says, I'm afraid that's just a euphemism for dead. So she does consider herself to be a widow at this point. But
yes,
Jake is, sorry,
she's still wearing her ring, and So she hadn't given up all hope.
Right. And taken aback, Beth thought that Jake was going to be coming by at around 8, and Sam took some sick leave. And obviously
Right,
eyes up.
because Al was very impassioned about how important this was. So Sam skipped on his work,
Yes.
his police work.
And I like this just because Sam is being typical Sam, knowing or thinking that this guy is sort of the antagonist, the bad guy. And Dirk says, you didn't give me a parking ticket, did you? And
I thought about it.
yeah. And again, Sam is awesome. Pardon me. And so just in terms of how they've been hanging out, and yeah, she's considering the romantic nature of them bumping into each other with lunch and the tire. And so she goes to get ready so that they can go to the movies, and that's when Sam sees Al's picture on the mantle, and it all becomes painfully clear.
Yeah, only now does Sam realize what's going on. And this photo of young Al was donated to the set by Dean Stockwell's friend and fellow actor Roddy McDowall.
Yes, you may remember Roddy McDowall from the Planet of the Apes movies. He played Cornelius and later Caesar. And you may also remember him from Quantum Leap.
Hey, that's where I remember him from.
Who? Roddy McDowall?
Right.
Have you seen that one yet?
I'm sure I have.
Okay, cool. Spoilers. But this is where, it's shocking. It shakes him to his core. That this has all been some sort of a manipulation, and so he realizes that he shouldn't be there.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. Oh, that's gonna be a big one.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the ones that I remember. And when Sam leaves and says, "I'm sorry, I'll give you a call later," but he leaves, and Al's about to go through the door, and says, "If you close that door, you better never open it again." And then Sam's the one lecturing Al on the rules of
Leaping.
yes.
Well, the Quantum Leap project had a set of rules in order to keep everything safe, and that's one of the rules.
Yes. We can't change our own lives.
Some people say you can't go back in time and change history at all.
Some people do say that. Some people say that it creates multiple timelines. Other people believe in malleable timelines. I believe that time travel itself is an excellent place, an excellent framework to hang storytelling upon. Because, and if I'm wrong, may I walk through my own door right now? Nope, nothing. All right, then.
You're not in the imaging chamber?
I am not. I haven't seen a hologram in ages. And so, yes. Then the question becomes, well, if he's not there to get Al and Beth back together, then why is he there? And Al is pleading, not only with Sam, but also with the situation itself. This is why there's been a parade of wives, why his infidelity is gone, because no one will ever truly match up to that.
Yeah, this is Al's episode in which he tries to get around the rules because the sleep is very personal for him. And so he's lost sight of what he and Sam are supposed to be doing while they're leaping.
Yes.
And so he's not exactly consulting Ziggy for the true reasons to be there.
Yes.
And this happens just in time for Sam, for him to figure out what he's supposed to be doing, even though he's not getting the right consultation for it. And This is that confrontation.
Absolutely. And so Rosalie, can we find Rosalie? And she is there. She's the one who's been calling Scabs to give him a tip in regards to some nefarious daring do, some contraband being sold on the street. But the baby is there. At which point Roger does. Oh, actually, no. Roger sees the baby. Everybody else sort of takes a run for the exits, and Roger freezes because it is very similar to the ambush that he encountered when he was the point man in Vietnam. And he starts hearing. He has auditory hallucinations. And there is a bunch of back and forth, and just in terms of the cinematography between Roger and the toddler, and it's shocking to Roger. And then we are confronted with.
And this is powerful because it was the story from the beginning. It was telegraphed, yes. Foreshadowed.
Yes. And here come Tequila and Boner. And Sam shows up with a shotgun, which shows that time travel can easily be solved with 12 gauge. But yes, he jumps in, saves or defends Roger, who also his first instinct is to protect the child, which is fantastic. He doesn't leap in a more aggressive fashion to try and take down Tequila and Boner, but does take care of the baby or the toddler and says nothing.
Well, that's some. He's going through some things with the other baby that he couldn't save.
Right. Oh, of course. Well, and again, a chance at redemption that he didn't have the first time around, which is an interesting sort of theme for the entire series, making right what once went wrong. If Al hadn't have been so blinded by his goals in this time frame, we would have found out the story of Rosalie's kid and what would have happened. What would have happened to Roger, or what would have not happened to Roger had this not been resolved.
There could have been some secondary things that could have helped Rosalie in some way that were missed out on.
Right, but
makes sense.
I think that this is a resolution in terms of the primary reasons for the leap. I don't want to look like they didn't. You know, when you do a video game level and you don't get perfect, you don't collect all the coins, you don't get all the secrets.
Well, you know what? This is a near perfect episode, so it is easy to just say, yeah, that Al was selfish here, and yeah, he was.
Yes.
But I think that's the point of the episode.
Well, and then Al says, I don't know why didn't we leap? And Sam says, I think he wants you to have a chance to say goodbye. And Al says, without being able to touch her or talk to her, I can't. And yeah. Sam says, go in.
But this is, of course, like we said, it's something that happened before. Sam did the same thing before.
I was going to read this, but I can't.
You can't read it? Do you want to read it?
I can give it a try.
What do you want to read?
So Al says,
oh, okay.
Beth, I've missed you so much. It's been such a long time, 25 years. Of course, you haven't changed, but I have. I'm an admiral now. No, wait. I'm an admiral now. Me, the ensign that said that anyone with a rank above lieutenant was a horse's ass. Beth laughs. Beth, you didn't hear me, did you? Oh, Beth, tell me you can hear me. Look at me, Beth. Oh, Sam, why did you make me do this? I want you to wait for me, Beth. Don't give up, honey, because I'm alive out there, and I'm only alive because of our love. And someday, oh, Beth, someday, I'm going to come back home to you. And Al kisses her forehead, and Beth says, Al? And we don't even get to see Sam leap. It's just the light in the background.
Yeah, so Sam is leaping outside of the house. We just see the light from it. So it looks like Al is leaping.
Yes. And also, it's one of the few times that you actually so far in the series, it's the only time that you don't get to see Sam leap, but also you get to see the world after Sam has leapt.
Right. And that's
LDG is here. Hey, LDG.
Hello, LDG.
And so that was MIA, the end of season 2 of Quantum Leap. A near perfect episode, you say?
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it. This was a great one. This is a good way to send off the second season, ready for the third one.
I am looking forward.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even get to see, we do not even get to see who Sam will leap into, which I think was probably a creative choice. Who knows what the season would have brought? But
Right, but Sam did a whole bunch of things to influence the love that he had in that episode with the professor, in terms of changing his love's life and possibly planting seeds and stuff to possibly give him a second chance. But they don't really do anything for Al of that nature in this episode. They don't give her any type of hint except for the dance itself. That's where she does seem to feel some kind of presence and call out his name.
yes. But also, it is like it's a really touching moment as well, just with Beth sitting there dancing to their song, and then with Al there. There have been other pure of heart animals and children can see Al, and who knows, maybe Al's true love in that one moment, listening to the music, just heard Al's voice. I like that idea.
It's possible. When I go back to Al's place, it says that when Al kisses Beth at the end, her hair moves as his lips touch her forehead. And I didn't notice that myself, but it says it here. However,
Yes.
in the script, this is intentional.
Oh, really?
Yes. So apparently the script confirms that for that kiss, he was actually able to kiss her.
Oh, well, that's
Forehead.
lovely. Well, and the way that they were dancing as well, because they were doing it going as close as possible without actually touching. They didn't have to do the special effect. Although Beth does pass through Al, and when they're dancing, there is a moment where their left hand doesn't touch, but where Beth's hand on Al's shoulder, and Al's hand on Beth's hip, they touch. And I was like, well, that's interesting too. But
right.
So I'm glad
but it
that
is
they
a
got
very
to connect.
emotional it's a really emotional episode, so I was the baby part and this part also.
Yes. So yeah, I guess we'll be back for next week. Jill, where can people find you on that there internet?
They can find me at Antiderivative Jill. I like to talk about science fiction and other things, and just in general, I want to have a lot of fun. And so, come subscribe to my channel and see what I have coming up next. Is tomorrow I'll be, if I don't have I'm 7 away from 400 subscribers. So if I don't have 400 by tomorrow, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do a review Excalibur, because since I don't know right now, it's possible that it's most likely that I won't have 400 tomorrow. So
Well, I guess it's up to the people at home as to whether or not they like Excalibur.
that's true.
Because if you like Excalibur, don't subscribe until tomorrow night. If you don't like Excalibur, subscribe now.
No. Well, I'm gonna review it either way, but I think I'm going to prepare for it. But if by some miracle I get 400 subscribers, I'm gonna table it for next week, and we're just gonna have a party.
Excellent, awesome, and then also the Infinite Lunch and Infinite Combinations is what's the Star Trek episode for next week?
Wolf in the Fold.
Lovely.
Is next. Big Scotty episode.
Yes. the tried, tested, and true. Whenever Scotty interacts with a girl, it goes south. And if you want to find me, I am here, or sometimes mostly here, or hanging out on Jill's channel as well, because she still puts up with me, which is fantastic.
Also, hello to Matt G.
Matt G, you're here just in time.
Yeah, just in time for us to go.
Well, and we have been playing around with the when we're going to be talking about Quantum Leap, and I'm guessing it'll be a little bit earlier as the weeks go on, just to accommodate.
I do like having it on earlier, and I can change things around to make this timing even better.
Cool.
Not changing the time, but the circumstances in which that allow me to be live.
Well, either way, as long as you're here to talk about it, I'm a happy camper. Sam is no good without Al, and I am no good without Jill. So it is fun to be able to talk about Quantum Leap with you because we both get so excited about it.
I appreciate that, but you're plenty awesome on your own. Though I do enjoy our discussions.
Thank you very, very much. I do want to thank Simone for being here. Thank you for Herc 130 being here. Canadian Spider-Man, I appreciate you listening on your cell phone. Dalek, Quantum Leap aficionado. It's a pleasure to have someone here who is watching or has watched the show. And probably still is. It's probably in rotation. LDG, thanks for stopping by. And Matt G, as always, thank you. I appreciate it, and we will see you in the future. Thank you so much. Oh boy.